with the amazing girl boss, Stephanie Tsuru, at her incredible space, the SheSpace. And behind the scenes is one of our former podcast guests, Rosalind Pazell. Yay, she has on one of her Roki silk mask and is looking fabulous. Guys, we are all about women empowerment, and this space is incredible. I'm a big lover of color, so you have color everywhere.
Everywhere.
Influencers, this is the most Instagrammable space I've ever been in Houston, Texas. It's so incredible, but the story behind it is the thing that gives me chills. You have been on an incredible journey as a wife and mother, amazing, stylish icon, but businesswoman in the healthcare industry for 23 years.
25.
25.
Yes.
I too had a career before my own wife, 22 years with my family business. And then I became the vintage contestant. So you decided to go back to school at Rice and get your master's
at age 53.
Wow.
That tells my age a little bit, but that's okay.
But we're going backwards.
I'm proud of that.
You should be proud of it because you're incredible. But the thing that brought us together today is the Women of Distinction.
Yes.
And you are chairing our amazing event this weekend.
Proudly.
And you've been so philanthropic in so many ways. And all of that really goes together with your purpose, because I feel like you are a woman that is so complex. You balance family, business, paying it forward for the community. And then I found out today you have done amazing mission work, which is my daughter's dream. And so we have so much to talk about, but I'll tell a little bit more about you. You opened the SheSpace this year during the midst of COVID. You have been so well respected for your journey here already. I love that Shelby Hodge wrote about it, and it was one of the lead Paper City articles that came out. And you wanted a space for women to get together and collaborate. Take over from here. Tell us the SheSpace and how it came about.
So it is quite a story, and like everything in life, it's a journey. It's not like I woke up one day and said, I'm going to do this space for women. It's a life well led that led up to this spot. So 25 years in the healthcare industry. My focus was on motivational psychology of women during the rehab process. So that played a lot into what I was doing, just being a mother, grandmother now, wife, raised my niece and nephew. So there's just a lot of life wisdom that I felt I could share and bring to the table. I could not have done this at age 30 or 40. I think it took all those years, all those journeys, all those pieces coming together that I was able to open SheSpace.
And you did it in collaboration with your daughter-in-law.
Yes, so many trailblazing moments here. To do a big business project with a daughter-in-law is really, really unusual, but we have a very unique and wonderful relationship. So we bring a lot to the partnership, generational differences, very different perspectives. I'm more the visionary and the trailblazer. Her name's Katie Tsuru. She married my son. I've known her since she was 19.
Aww.
I've never heard her raise her voice. She is just the most delightful, hardworking woman. But she had been in oil and gas for 10 years. And so she brought a very unique perspective of what the male-dominated, working in a male-dominated industry looks like.
And I'm coming from construction, so that was also very male dominated. And it's such a balance as women who believe in women's rights, but are living in Texas and living with these men with strong personalities. Again, tossing back to Rosalind, she did an amazing job of balancing, because when you're a tough woman, people call you a bitch. But when you're a tough man, they just say, oh, you're successful. And
it's the speaking while female voice. So that's what I have learned. It's how to
speaking while female. I
Yes,
believe,
so it's
yeah.
learning how to find your voice. Whatever's in your head, it's not going to come to life, and you know, you have to speak it, you have to vocalize it, and then you just have to get very comfortable with what you're saying and who you are, and you don't worry about what people say about you as long as you believe in what you're saying.
And I think that goes back to purpose. I've been really
Mhm.
diving and researching a lot purpose. And in order to live this purposeful life, you have to do a lot of work and figure out who you are. So
Mhm.
you're not going with the wind for whoever you're talking to. You have to be rooted in a lot of core values.
Mhm.
And that's a big part of the work you did with these women who were
Mhm.
going through so much of an emotional journey, I would think,
Mhm.
is they got caught up in moments that they didn't really know who they were, or they were with people that weren't safe. And now you created
Mhm.
this safe space for women.
I think it all contributes to why I wanted to open this space, because I was very passionate about mentoring young professional women, but to do a really good job in mentoring, you have to be available when they need you. You have to be able to give everything. So I can really only mentor well
Mhm.
2 women at a time. And then I have all those that I've mentored in the past that if they kind of wave the white flag, I need to be available for them. And so I needed a way to leverage mentoring. So really this space is mentoring on a very, very large scale. I mentor all day long, young women coming in here, looking for a space, trying to find out what they need. It's all a version of mentoring. But can we talk about how I actually woke up one day and kind of thought, okay,
Yes.
I have to do something.
What was your aha moment?
So I was alluded to this a little bit earlier, and I said, it's not like I woke up one day and said, I have to do this, but it was actually kind of like that. I did have a moment, which is very unusual.
It is.
It's very unusual. I was on a trip with a Bible study group. We were in Israel.
Mhm.
And the very first night we arrived, I met these 2 women. One was an Israeli Jewish woman and one was a Palestinian Christian woman. And they had met, become best friends, and opened up a company together. So just the dynamics of that is just so unusual. And their company was a tour company. And so one of the things they offered was to go into one of the Palestinian districts. So I went with this group into the Palestinian district, and it was to a women's center. And on the outside, you know, they're very, very, very oppressed and repressed and just living such small lives. On the inside, they're just like you and me, only more vibrant, more energetic. They were literally dancing and singing and doing each other's nails and giving each other's facials. And they were learning skills, job skills that they could use within that women's center.
Mhm.
And I was so taken, like it literally was like a visceral reaction that I got from these women. And by the time I left, that tour was like 45 minutes or an hour. I knew I had to have a women's space in Houston. Did not know what it would be like, did not know what it would be called. I just knew I had to do it. And I knew that's what I'm supposed to do. I knew I knew it was going to be hard. And honestly, for like 3 months, I just really wanted the idea to go away because I knew what an undertaking it was going to be. And to do it right, it was going to be 100% all the time. And the idea did not go away. And I was like obsessed with it. But I did wake up one morning and just knew what it was going to be called. I knew it was going to be called SheSpace. And then I spent like 6 weeks trying to think of another name. Just
to make sure that
Yeah.
that was the right one.
Wasted so much time thinking of everything. And I met with women, talked with women, had focus groups. Like, I have this crazy idea. Tell me not to do it. And everyone goes, you have to do this. The time is right. Because there's so many women's groups in Houston. There are amazing women here. We already know that. But there's so many women's organizations, even in companies, there's like leadership groups, there's sororities, there's just groups of women, but I kind of felt like they were splintered and we needed a place to all come together there's definitely strength in numbers, and to really make an impact, we need to grow the base, and that's what SheSpace is about.
And you officially launched in
The week before Thanksgiving, in the middle of a pandemic, so right before the holidays and right in the middle of a pandemic, but it just didn't deter us. So my partner is my daughter-in-law, Katie, and she is the CFO, and she's the logical one. She's the voice of reason. So like I get these really wild, big ideas. I think really big. I'm really willing just to jump off the diving board, and she'll say, let's just think about that a bit. So she is really an anchor and really grounds the whole process. And I need somebody like that. It's kind of the opposite of what you would think. But she is very, very willing to take a risk. We both are, but she wants to know. But I am more like go with the feel of it, and she has to be able to explain it from a business perspective. So it's a great partnership.
It seems like the yin and the yang.
It is totally. It's just not what people expect. So they expect
the older, more
right, but
experienced woman to be the one that is the grounded. Yes,
but I do come from a long line of real trailblazing women, and I just didn't know how to do anything different. I thought all women did this. I mean, I thought all women kind of jumped off the diving board.
And that's such a big part of raising other women to feel this empowerment. You've done so much for the community. One of your big pillars is literacy. And that's such a big part. I mean, we have to educate.
It's the basis foundation for everything. So you have to get the young ones reading.
And tell us about what you did. One of the first times I met you was through the Barbara Bush Literacy Foundation, and you did
so
a
huge passion of mine. And so when I'm not doing this, I'm still very involved with that. And so I, when I was at Rice getting my master's, I came across the statistic that in some areas of Houston, there is what is known as a book desert. So there are no books in the children's homes, no books.
Wow.
There is one book for every 300 children. And when I heard that, I was like, how is that even possible? But like in areas around the country, like in DC, it's one book for every 800 children, to put things into perspective. The same time, I heard the statistic that 72, or maybe it was 74, HISD elementary schools had closed their libraries. And I'm like, where are the kids going to get their books? There's always an element of transportation, difficulty in transportation. So there's not books at home, there's not books at school, they can't get to the library. So I brought this idea with my friend Trish Morelli. So we brought this idea to the Barbara Bush Foundation. We were like, again, another crazy idea. The kids don't have the books, so we are going to take the books to the kids. So we started building out mobile libraries, and now we're on our third one.
Wow.
So we collect 100,000 books a year, and then we give them away. And we're like on our third year.
Wow. Are there ways that people, I guess it's COVID, so could you get involved with delivering the books, or
we collect them and then we take them? So we partnered with Harris County Public Library, and they actually run it's called the Curiosity Cruiser.
Okay.
So they actually run the Curiosity Cruiser, and they make organized stops all over the city all day long. And now we have 3 of them. The third one's being built out. And so we're reaching a lot of children. And the whole idea there is to build home libraries. So they're mobile libraries, but really what they're doing is we do programming, but they're giving the books away to build the home libraries, to get the books in the kids' home.
And if someone wanted to donate, where would they donate their books?
Here.
Oh, good.
So I will
they can come by and see your space.
So we are doing that in March. We'll be having a huge book drive for the month of March. And then talking about books. I know Rosalind's sitting here, and she is also just an absolute book lover. And I bet her son has more books than most kids, but households put together. So that ratio of 1 to 300 books, I swear when I was growing up, we probably had the opposite of that, probably 300 books.
Yes.
In our children.
And my mom saved them all.
I have all,
a part of our childhood. It was so important. And we have gone Bella's gone to Yellowstone to drop books off. And I feel like
Mhm.
it's important for kids to understand other kids' journey, especially in this challenging time, to grow up with it as a teenager and social media.
Absolutely. So one of my things I've loved most of anything I've ever done in my life was run book clubs for middle school girls.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Oh, I could talk about that for days. So I was working with middle school girls, but I was having trouble like really connecting.
Yes.
And I mean, we could talk, but it just didn't seem shallow or meaningful. So I hit upon this idea of starting book clubs. And then you can talk about really meaningful topics if you pick the right books and they're part of the theme and real life. And then real life discussion would just naturally happen. So it would just like kind of organically come into the room with conversation. So we're kind of talking about the book, but really they're talking about what's going on in their real life safely. And I absolutely adored that. And I did some in high school, but it was more successful with the middle school. Actually, 7th grade's the magic year. 7th grade girls.
I can believe that. Bella's in 8th.
8th grade girls are kind of they're kind of getting a little, you know what I'm saying? And
yes, big shout out to Bella.
Yep.
Yes. No, it's a real journey, and I'm reading different books about connecting with your teenage daughter. One of them is Love Her Well. And I think that's such a part of the journey is how safe they feel and the connection. And I want to go back to, because I also researched a lot on connection. And what I've come to define it as is seeing and hearing someone where they are without judgment. And these two women that had different, complete visions of their life, the Palestinians and the Israelis, how long has that war been?
Since the beginning of time.
But that they could find the connection. And if we could all,
the common ground,
every day search for that as opposed to the difference.
And that's what unifies.
It is absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the women here that you're honoring in the room. You named your different rooms after different women trailblazers.
So that was very difficult to pick the names because there's so many amazing women. The most obvious and easiest was the RBG. So we have different size meeting rooms, and the largest one is the RBG. Then I wanted to pick names of women that maybe people have started to forget, and I wanted to keep the names alive, and that's Ida B. Wells. So she was the first Black female journalist and suffragette, which this woman did amazing things, but you don't hear her name. And so I named one of the names. I mean, there's thousands of women that could qualify to have a room named after them, but I think she's so important. I named a room after her. It was fun, but it was challenging. I don't know, after a while I might change the names out and honor some more women.
But I also love that family's so important to you, and you have a wall with your mothers and your mentors there too. And I had this magical moment with my mom, I guess a couple of years ago. And I said, I spent so much time looking at Dad because he was successful in business and thinking that he was the strongest one in the family, when really it was your faith and your passion and your love for the family that really was our strength. And I saw that. And so there's so many women out there that I feel like struggle with being enough. Like they hear about your life. Oh my God, like how many women can you do what you've done? But I think we also have to champion the mothers that are reading to their kids, and I feel like you do that too. Let's talk a little bit about that.
And always did. But so my mother was an English teacher, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And so she was always so busy, but she always made time for us. And reading was a huge part of what we did together. That was a huge part of our life. And they read, my parents read, and then watching them read. And then now I have grandchildren. Speaking of family, so I named two rooms after my granddaughters, the Stella and the Lucy.
I love that.
So now I spend time reading to them. So there's there's just amazing, amazing women coming through here. Amazing women. That's what I like about this the most, which is saying a lot because I love everything about this, is I'm meeting the most amazing women that my path probably would never cross. Like, we have 33 women that started the SheSpace. So it's a team of 33 women that funded this, running this, built it, designed it, everything from the exterior signs owned by it's a female owned company. So it's all women that did this project, and it didn't really start out to be, but whenever I had a choice, I wanted to look at the female. And then after a little ways into it, I said, it has to be the woman. So it's either a woman-owned company whenever possible. And if it wasn't a woman-owned company, then when we use the woman representative from the company. So like our construction manager is a female. She's amazing. I would never run into her. And now she's just like one of my favorite people. She's about 5'2", runs everything. It's just amazing.
So tell people how they could become a part of it.
Yeah.
I was fascinated.
Yeah.
You can rent a space, it's a room. You could rent a desk or have a comment.
So it's a little unusual because I understand every woman's life is completely different. So we can't put them into boxes. We can't compartmentalize. Your life is different than my life, than everyone else's life. So just to say you have like choice A, B, or C doesn't really work. So we work with whatever a woman needs, because our job is to help you meet those needs so that you can go after your dreams, so that you can fulfill your ambitions. So I think most women are so busy trying to juggle conveniences. And I heard this wonderful term the other day that women are time impoverished. We don't have enough time. I was like, why didn't I think of that term? I love that term. And so we try to find ways to assist women so they can get things done. So whether that be a full-time office or a full-time desk that's just your desk or your desk alone, or like what we call the community space, so you can come and go. You may work in Sugarland or in the Woodlands or at home most of the time, but you need 2 half days just to get a break, to get re-inspired, to connect with women, because working at home is very isolating. We've all found that out, and working at home is awesome until it isn't awesome anymore. I remember being around my dining room table for months, and then I just could not do it anymore.
You just sometimes need a change of space or a change of mindset, and to be in a space where other people, I mean, all of us are struggling with COVID, and to be able to say, oh, you're having a hard time with this too. I thought I was just so weak in my journey, and then I wasn't.
So fun watching the women connect here. So it just happens very organically. They'll run into each other. Like, remember like at the cooler, remember they used about the water cooler thing? Now it's like the fresh ground coffee thing. So they'll run into each other getting coffee, and just very natural relationships are developing here just because they're bumping into each other. And I need this and I need that, and helping women figure out what they need. But we also have a lot of meeting rooms because I have a nonprofit heart, and I wanted to be able to assist nonprofits. So they probably have offices, but they may not be conveniently located, or they may not be somewhere they want to take potential donors. And so the rooms we were just talking about, they are designed to, we have packages that allow nonprofits to come in just to have their meetings in those rooms. They don't need an office, they don't need a desk, but they need a place to meet. A lovely, inspirational, polished, well put together place to meet potential donors, their board. So this is very heavily tilted towards accommodating nonprofits as well.
And tell us about the types of people you met at Rice. What was that like?
I was so intimidated. I have never been so afraid of anything in my life. So I got a new book bag. My husband gave me a new book bag.
That was going to empower you.
I'm like,
sometimes a new bag can do it. I'm here to tell you.
I'm telling you, I think it was the key. I'm the world's oldest owner of a pencil bag. I love my pencil bag. Of course, it's very cute and very stylish. So I go in with my new bag and my new backpack, and I was terrified because everything has switched to, everything's done on technology now. Like, you submit everything, you push the button, and your syllabus, everything is on the computer. So the first semester, it was just a huge learning curve for the technology end of it. So many wonderful young people they were far, far away from home. One of my favorites was from Singapore. So I would kind of give her parenting advice and she would help me with the technology. So again, amazing things happened, women coming together. And I also found there was a real need for great places to just sit down and do some work, and coffee shop is not the place. So I actually have students in here.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah. They come in the evening, so I don't see them as much, but we're open until 11 o'clock. So they come and do their studies. There's a young woman getting ready to study for her LSAT. And this is the perfect place. There's women to keep her going and motivated. And
if I'm at home, I'm going to just run up and do the roulette of the laundry, or just finish this one thing, or that you get very distracted.
The dog's barking,
and then
the
you're
doorbell's
apologizing
ringing
for all of that.
Right.
Exactly.
So we did all those conveniences inside SheSpace or in the surrounding area. So I decided not to be downtown or anything like, we're in a shopping center, because I looked at what women need in their lives, and they're still needing to go to the grocery store or pick things now, picking things up from the grocery store. So without ever getting in my car, I can do everything I need. There's a grocery store, there's a gas station, there's the ATM, there's Total Wine, wink.
Yes.
My window looks out at Total Wine.
Yes.
Everything
For
we
those
need.
who follow me on social media, I'm prone to have a glass of wine, maybe more,
Maybe.
daily. And we're going to be doing a toast
Absolutely.
a little bit after this to celebrate friendship.
So we have we have mail delivery and package delivery here, and dry cleaning pickup. I mean, my life has gotten so much easier. I have absolutely found more hours in the day by being here, because I'm not spending all my time driving around.
Completely agree that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so podcast studio, that's where we are today.
That's where we
are
are.
You seeing that a lot of the ladies are starting that
It's
or
so
launching them?
It's so popular, and two of our younger members have started them on their own since they've been here.
Yay!
Two.
You have
and
to
actually,
just think you inspired them a little bit. Or gave them the
I think they
confidence.
inspire me. They are, but that's how it works.
It is.
And they are like, we are so terrified. I'm like, it's okay. You'll figure it out.
Terrified.
It's conquering the fear.
It is.
It's not that we're not afraid.
And that's
it's
the thing.
conquering the fear.
You're so accomplished and you are afraid to walk into rice. People have to understand, they say, like, you seem like you're not concerned, or you seem like it's all easy for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not easy. And you should have seen me schlepping up all my stuff on the steps. I'm thinking if someone could have an Instagram of this. This is the real life.
Real.
It's not as glamorous as everybody
This morning
thinks
before
it
you
is.
got here, I was like pushing tables around and lugging the
Exactly.
sofa.
We
and
were
like,
moving it ourselves. And I think that's such a big part. So to young women trying to figure out, they want their aha moment. Everybody, especially with COVID, like, how do you recommend that people kind of figure out purpose? Like, where did you go? I know
I think you
that's part of
try
it.
things. I think you
Okay.
have to keep trying and trying and trying things. I mean, I was in healthcare for 25 years and that ended up not being the right fit for me, but look at everything I gained from it.
Yes.
So even if it's the wrong thing, you are going to start taking things away. And in the end, you take and you pick and you have all these things and then you put it together. But you have to live a little bit. I mean, you have to just try things. You can't be afraid and like, I'm going to make a job change or relationship change or geographic change. You just have to keep trying things. I've moved a lot in my life. I never thought I would live in Texas.
So where are you from
So
originally?
I grew up in the Midwest.
Okay.
And then I lived in Colorado for many, many years.
That's right.
And then we moved to Texas. And if you live in Colorado, you don't tell people you're moving to Texas.
It's a tough thing. I had to convince
And
people
now
to like me.
I love it so much. And so this is my way, another thing, giving back to the women in Houston that have been so good to me. So loving and welcoming and genuine. And this is for the women of Houston.
It is. So genuine takes me to authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the overall theme of my world is I'm always looking at products and finding out if they're authentic. And then now we're talking about people and being authentic. And I think some people, again, have to dig kind of deep to even figure out what's their core? Like, what is it based upon? And I find that that's what I'm really trying to help my daughter with is understand, is matching her words and her deeds
Mhm.
and staying consistent with all that. So you meet people that come in here. How do you kind of figure out if it's someone that you want to collaborate with or you want to be a part of it or if they're authentic? And sometimes even inauthentic, you just means that they've been really hurt and then there is someone wonderful underneath, but they've got all these boundaries up.
I can find something good in everyone. I think
That's
you just have to
beautiful.
take the time. It may not be at the surface. So it does take time when women come in here to look at the space. It's not like they're in and out of here in 10 minutes. They'll stay an hour and we'll sit down and chat in the beginning and then we'll go and look at everything and we'll chat and end. So I really feel like by the end of an hour or hour and 15 minutes, I've kind of started to figure out maybe sometimes even better than they do what they need. It doesn't come out in the beginning. You have to take time to start to develop a relationship. And sometimes women will come in here 2 or 3 times before they commit. So it's like trust and developing trust. But I think one of my skills is sifting through kind of the bluster. And I think I can kind of get to the heart of the matter with people.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on understanding all of that better, but I too am in this place that when the world is so decisive, I mean, Rob made a joke about something last night. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to go there anymore. And I love that he's always trying to joke and make light of things, but I just want to look at the best in everything. I'm trying really hard. I was listening to a podcast while walking the other day, and she was saying the second you get out of bed, you can make a choice of what your mind's going to say all day, and that you make that choice. Was there ever a time when you had to like talk yourself out of a bad place in your life to overcome it? Or have there been days that you wake up and you're like, I'm depressed or I'm upset, and then you have to pull yourself out of that situation?
So comes down to mindset, is what you're saying. So I think it is making a very just deliberate choice to, everybody has foggy blue days. Everybody does. Just allow yourself to have that, whatever is going on in your life, but you don't let it like dominate it and have 2 foggy blue days in a row. I do think people need to give themselves more grace. So if you're having a bad day, let yourself have a bad day. Everybody has a bad day, but that doesn't mean you have to have a bad life. I think things happen and you adjust. I'm super resilient because I come from very resilient people, but I focus on that. And I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I'm not afraid to fall down and stub my toe. That does not scare me. But what would scare me is if I wasn't able to get back up the next day and try it again.
I met Brene Brown a couple of times and I asked, I'm sure a million people have asked her, so I'm raising a child. What's the most important thing to do with them? And she said, teach them to be scrappy. Teach them when they fall.
Gutsy.
Let them lay in the pain and then teach them to pull themselves out of it. Because for so long I was trying to fix it and I still try to fix it because I'm type A.
Natural.
It is as a mom.
I think it's natural to fix it. The best gift my parents ever gave me, which at the time I thought they were the most horrid people on the planet. When I was 17, the day after I graduated from high school, and no one knows this about me, I went to work in a steel mill.
Wow.
I don't tell people that because it's like kind of crazy. And now I look at my daughters and I'm like, what were they thinking? I would never let my daughters work in a steel mill. Talk about male dominated.
Yes.
Hard hat, steel-toed boots, heat thermal gloves. Yeah, I worked in the steel mill and I paid my way through college by working in the steel mill. But talk about learning to be scrappy really quick.
Wow. I don't
Mhm.
even have words.
I know. And
The
I
fact
think
that you chose that.
I'm not sure they gave me an option. I suppose I could have, because the money that I was able to make. So I would work when nobody else wanted to. I'd work double shifts. Education was super important in our family, and this was my way to contribute. But I look back on it now, I'm like, what were they thinking? But I think it was the best gift they ever gave me.
That's really incredible.
So then everything after that was not that hard.
Right. And I think that I was saying that I've started again, it's the new year. And of course, I'm working on overall being my mindset, my eating, my just everything about my journey, my sleep. Sleep is a big part of for women in particular, I believe. But I was thinking about, I didn't want to like lift the next weight. And I was thinking about that movie Unbroken. I don't know if you ever saw it. But I look at, so he was a victim in concentration camps. He was World War II, was it? And he was he was in Japan. And I remember he held this pole behind him. And they said, you're going to be shot if you drop the pole. And he was emaciated, skinny, and he did it.
For hours and hours and hours.
Like 40 some, I don't know.
I don't even know, but I know.
But I mean, you see that and you're like, and I can't do this. I can't.
Inner fortitude. But you know, women have it.
I think we do.
No, we totally do. And we have it very naturally. And some people may just have to work harder at tapping into it, but we have it.
I think that's why we were chosen as the
child bearers.
Child bearers. Because I can't imagine, shout out to Rob, but I can't imagine it happening. Anyway, okay, so community. You were, let's talk a little bit about Women of Distinction. Tell us a little bit about the women who are selected in Crohn's and colitis and what's happening on Saturday night.
So I'm going to go back just a little bit to my class in 2018.
Oh, good. Yes.
So because that leads to this year. So in 2018, I was in the class of the Women of Distinction class, and I met some of my best friends there. So Amy Pierce, Christina Somerville, they actually reached out to me and they said, we're doing this. Would you want to be part of it? And I said, you're in, right? Because I'm not doing this if you're not doing this. And so it's been really fun. And I really have very good friends from that year. But I would not do this without them. So the three of us are chairing this year. And of course, middle of pandemic. But again, we just figure it out, talking about resilience, that's not going to work and that's not going to work. And, we've gone through probably 8 plans and here we are. Very, very proud of the women this year. And they didn't let the fact that they couldn't be on the runway derail the evening and the plan. And like I said, last night, I saw the technical rehearsal part of it. So I've seen the whole thing. Gorgeous. Aww. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And honestly, I think it's way better than parading down the runway. Each woman gets a lot of time focused on them. There's a lot of beautiful angles. You'll see it on Saturday evening, but it is amazing, beautiful, beautiful. And then I got to meet some new women through there that I didn't know before. So again, coming together, building the base, lifting each other up, which is really what brings me joy. And this is a way to lift up a whole new group of women.
So amazing. So we're wrapping up. We only have a few minutes left. Are there any parting words, inspirations, things you didn't share that you wanted to share? Do you want to tell us more about your mission work? I know that was really fascinating.
Yes, that's like it's a whole nother hour to talk about. So maybe we can do that at another time. But I met amazing women in Africa. And they are again the ones that hold everything together. It's just a very different culture, but we work with a whole huge group of children there. And I I can't do it justice in just a couple minutes,
Mhm.
but it really has changed me forever. And the young women that I have met 10 years ago, and we still see them, not this year, unfortunately, or last year. But so that's been very important. But I think I want women to be proud to be female. I think that life has been a little bit unjust and unequal to us in the past. But I think if we continue to be proud to be female and work together, things are changing. Things have changed a lot just in the last 3 years. Like in 2017, I was like the only female on a board. It's like, that's just crazy, but those numbers are changing. So there used to be like 17%, 13% females on boards, and now it's up to 38%. And that's just in the last couple of years. So things are changing. I think women just need to be proud of themselves, proud of each other, push, pull, prod, whatever you have to do to your neighbor to get her to where she wants to be. And we're all going together.
I love
We're
that.
getting there every day.
We are. Well, you are absolutely living the authentic life. I love how your purpose helps so many other people connect in your journey. And you're just committed to that and everything you do.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I could talk for 8 hours. So I'm glad that we have like a timeline.
Yes. And you guys can go to my stories. I'm going to be posting so many things on IG and Facebook. You can go to their website, SheSpace.com.
SheSpace HTX.
HTX. And please come by and visit. See about hosting your next event here. It's an amazing, amazing space. I can't do it justice. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great week. Bye.